Now.
Sit here on the beach.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to Breeze Shooters, where the show that brings you news, sports, poker, and everything in between. I'm your host, Lou, joined by the most, and I got my very good friend Christian, who's I don't know. It looks like he's trying to comb a beard that hasn't filled in yet.
But what you do is it's about conditioning. I'm conditioning my beard so when it's really big, I could, he's already used to me combing it. You see what I'm doing right here? See what I'm doing right here? That's the motion, Louis.
No. All you're doing is stretching out those white hairs, Papa.
You know what? I was told by a very, 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 very beautiful woman that the white hairs is distinguished.
It's a sign of being distinguished. Okay. All right. I mean, listen, I'm happy she said that because I got a few.
Experience counts, Lou. Experience counts.
It does count, brother. How you doing, Chris? How's everything? I see that you posted a couple of pictures today online. You were biking around town.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day here in the infected NYC. So okay. I decided, you know what? Fuck it. Let me put on my mask. Let me get on my bike and try to exercise the knees a little bit, And it was pretty good. I almost died, but I didn't. But then I did it.
You're a survivor. and what was interesting about it is because, let me tell you, Chris, leaving New York, one of the sights that I miss seeing on a daily basis is the Verrazano Bridge. That bridge is just, to me, it's beautiful.
It really is.
It's a beautiful bridge.
Day or night.
Day or night. And one of my all-time favorite things to do was to do the bike trail on Staten Island. You do the bike trail. You start at the Fort Wadsworth Army Base, and you ride up through the Army Base, and it takes you right underneath the Verrazano Bridge. And it's an amazing view. You get this wind, and then the awesome thing about it is that once you hit the peak of that hill, it's downhill, and it takes you straight into South Beach. The nightclub right on the beach. It takes you on that bike strip right through there, and you can take that long all the way to Midland Beach. What a ride. It's a beautiful ride. If you've never done it, it's worth it. Jump on go across the Brooklyn Bridge, take the ferry across, and just ride up Bay Street, and that leads you right into Fort Wadsworth Army Base, and then you follow that trail through South Beach. Chris, you will not be disappointed. What a beautiful ride. And it's not a strenuous ride. It's pretty flat. The hardest part is when you're on Fort Wadsworth, there's a big hill going up to the Verrazano Bridge, but once you go down, it's smooth.
I don't care.
Well, I'm concerned. I don't want to put you up.
Lou, my life is hills, nigga. Yeah, that's what I do. That's you don't.
Krispy Kreme.
Can you get a full thing? You don't. Okay, here we go. You don't get these in CVS, Lou. You gotta work for these bad boys. You understand? Oh, look at the fucking thing.
Where do you go?
That's what I'm talking about.
99-cent stores?
No. You gotta work for those. You can't buy them at CVS, Dwayne Reed, and all these stores. You gotta work. So a little hill here and there, and you forget where the fuck I'm from. I'm from La Isla, man.
Yeah,
it's all hills.
I know you weren't bike riding over there. Yo, Chris.
Skateboards. Up the hill.
Chris, really excited today, man. We got a special guest today. When I say special guest.
How special, Lou?
He's a product from Sunset Park. He's a 13-year military vet. He's New York City's finest. He's a police officer. And on top of all that, Chris, he's an actor, an established actor. The guy's appeared on The Blacklist, on Power, on Gotham, he's been in The Mysteries of Laura. He's been on Blue Bloods, another crime mystery with the Warren brothers. As Good as Dead, and he's also appeared in the movies Broken Heart and 44 Reels. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna be with Breeze Shooters soon. Yo, Chris, you told me to step
Lou,
up. I went. I started calling people.
I was about to tell you, Lou, you really listen. All this time, I'm thinking I'm carrying. I said, you took the load here, man. Pause. No homo.
No, listen. Thank God, my mother didn't burn my black books. The little black.
I saw a picture of your mom.
Yes, that's my mom. That's my mom. Yep.
Wow, God bless, man. Yeah, I saw a picture of your mom. I want to get into something. Now that I saw a picture of your mom. So I posted a picture. As you can see, I'm not really active on Facebook as before. So I put a picture of, listen, I'm out here, I'm bike riding, and I love it. I'm gonna tell you why I love, Lou. I love when a simple picture of myself brings out the haters.
Chris, it's like a pebble in the ocean. It's a ripple effect. Ripple effect. How far that ripple goes?
Nobody knows. Of course, listen. Everybody knows I'm husky. Everybody knows I got a couple of layers.
We call it a thick bone.
Yeah, I'm big bone. So, my cousin, he always likes to take shots.
Oh yeah, I saw that, Chris. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I saw that. I was like, wow. I said the guy put up a really nice photo, and you're coming at him.
Beautiful. The sun.
You should be happy. You should applaud him. Keep it going, cuz.
Yeah, exactly. You see, there's people, and then there's people, and then there's other types of people.
Uh-huh.
So let me sip on this before I get into what I'm about to say.
Okay.
So he decides to, throw a little jab. It was a subtle jab. The problem, if you know me, and Lou, you know me very well, friends for over 20 years. If you take a shot at me, even if it's subtle or a slight jab, something simple, you got to be prepared for the barrage that's coming at you.
Chris, and with this platform, it's the worst thing. It's the freaking worst thing.
So, as I get into it, he said something about poor bike, referring to my weight was too much for the bike. That's the way I'm taking it. And listen, a scale from 1 to 10, a funny scale from 1 to 10, that's a 2. You kind come at me, you got to come at me correct. And if you're funny, you probably won't even get a response because you're funny,
That's the best
but
thing
when
to
you
do.
take when you make such a weak attempt at my character,
Oof.
at my person,
Oof.
I got to get at you.
Ooh.
Now, let me describe to you, because you've met him on the phone.
Uh-huh.
You've probably seen a couple of pictures, maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But my cousin Milton, he is legally under the parameters of the law, I guess. He is legally a grown person. But it's, how what I'm trying to say is like the parameters of what's the PC way of calling midgets? Is there a PC way, or midgets is fine?
No, dwarfs, small people.
Dwarfs. I like dwarfs. Small people is like belittling. I don't like that one. But dwarfs, I'm gonna go with dwarfs. So he's just a tad over dwarf parameter.
Wow.
So if you notice, if you go to his page, all his pictures are from the breast up. If he moves that camera just a couple of inches, it catches his whole body. He's the type of person, he sits on a chair, on a normal chair, and his feet, they.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't make fun of that because I'll be honest with you. I was worried. I don't want to make small. I don't like to make fun of midgets because dwarfs. So I didn't know if I was really crossing the line. Not for him, but for the other little people. Thing is, it was funny because one time I go up there, I go to visit him. This was like 10 years ago. So he goes, "Yo, Chris, let's go to the store, whatever. We go to the store." So I start getting into his car. So when I get in his car, I notice there's like 2 telephone books on the driver's seat.
Chris, shut up.
Listen, look.
Chris, shut up.
Chris,
you're lying to me right now.
I'm not.
Telephone books?
The yellow pages.
The yellow pages, white pages?
Yes, but it was 2 yellow pages. There was no white. It was 2 yellow pages.
So he stole somebody's book.
I don't know what the fuck he did.
Oh,
but, and if I didn't, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I didn't see the books, the telephone books, Louis, from the outside look.
Chris, I'm sorry. JW is joining us.
Let's go.
JW, what's up, brother? JW, how you doing, sir? How's everything?
I'm great, man. It's really good to see you. Been a long time, brother.
Oh, very long time. Give me 1 second. Let me give you the proper intro. Ladies and gentlemen, we have JW Cortes, as I mentioned earlier. He's from Sunset Park. He's a 13-year military veteran. He's also an actor and a singer. He's appeared on shows like Blacklist, Power, Gotham, The Mystery of Laura, Blue Bloods, As Good as Dead, and he's also appeared in movies Broken Heart and 44 Real. Yo, brother, that is a very impressive resume. Very impressive.
And don't forget the most important thing, Boricua.
That's right.
Come on, man.
That's right. Boricua de pura cepa.
De pura cepa.
Hey, listen, Chris, first of all, in order to get JW on, I was stalking him. I was like, yo, it's getting freaky now. I'm sending this guy tweets. I'm sending him emails. He's just like a loser, freaking weirdo, a loser. It's just, you know what it is? Like, when me and Chris started this platform here, I said, hey, we got to make it about Sunset Park, and we got to celebrate people from Sunset Park. I said, yeah. I hear so many good stories of folks from Sunset Park, and why not give them the flowers when they're around? Why talk about people when they're past? And 100%. I just feel, like I told you on the text, I really feel like you're an inspiration for young Latinos, coming out of Sunset Park, to see somebody like yourself doing it on the big stage as an inspiration. So with that being said, what are some of your best fond memories from Sunset Park? Let's start there.
Well, can I first start off by saying that was a hell of an introduction. It means a lot to me that you would say those things about me, especially because you guys are some of the few people who, when I talk about Sunset Park and what it was, actually know what I'm talking about. So it is nothing short of a miracle that I was able to, I grew up on 49th Street. 49th Street, the NYPD had called Little Vietnam between 5th and 6th Avenue. That was a hot block. Yeah, the block was hot, and we had a methadone clinic on it, and we had every drug being sold there, and so to come from that environment and to be doing what I'm doing today, you don't get there by yourself. You get there with the love of your family and of your community, and people like you who take the time to acknowledge what we're doing. So thank you, both of you, for bringing me on. Fondest memories of Sunset Park. Sunset Park, when I choose to think of the good, right? Because, we tend to do that when we're reminiscing. For me, I think about the hot summers and how every stoop on my block was packed with people.
Oh, God.
And music blasting out of people's windows who would pull the speakers up to their windows. And we have these cement, front barbecue grills going, the little red and black joints.
Yeah.
The old timers playing the dominoes with the little cans of Budweiser.
Oh, God.
And kids everywhere playing up and down the block. And, we were nothing but creative and making whatever we had in front of us, making it fun. So if that meant running through the fire escapes, playing off the wall, off the stoop of the ball, putting up a milk crate because you couldn't get to the park, or just you name it, we came up with so many ways to have fun, and I really miss those days the most.
Man, you did such a wonderful job painting that picture. Let me tell you, that encapsulates Sunset Park. The only thing you missed was the fire hydrant running with the sprinklers in. God,
la pompa, la pompa.
La pompa. It's a lot.
Right. I remember the old timers, man. They, right before they pulled up, they're like, "Don't wet my car."
Yeah.
You always had that kid that was sitting in front of the sprinklers. He goes, "No, you pass, you good." And the last second,
great times, man.
I'm sorry, JW. Before I go forward, my co-host is Chris Soto. I think he might have came into the neighborhood right after you were probably transitioning out, but he's a Sunset Park guy at heart, and you'll see his character. You'll understand.
I was, the thing with me is I was born in Lutheran, but I was here in the Sunset Park till I was like 6 or 7 years old. Then I went back to Puerto Rico, then came back and was back and forth a lot. But Sunset Park is home. Sunset Park is home.
Yeah. It's funny. People always ask me where I'm from when I do interviews or whatever. And, I used to, I still do it, but I do it with a lot more purpose now. But when they ask me, it says you're from Brooklyn, I go, no, I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Right? I got to throw in the Sunset Park, just to let people know there's a distinction there. And then I say that, we represent the nation of Brooklyn, right? Because I don't know what it is about the Brooklyn water, man, but it's just you wear it like a badge of honor,
It's true.
So
100%.
You see it more so when you leave the state and you just go to other areas, and it's just that little level of confidence that it gives you. So I know you. I remember you from the dungeon. I remember you as a boxer from young. You used to go, and you were a tremendous athlete, by the way, because you would go do your thing in the boxing side and then go over to the other side and play basketball with us. And I used to look at my friends and say, he's got to get tired sooner or later. He must have did it 4 or 5 rounds. But
athletic-wise, Lou, is he like me and him, or like right here, or like athletic-wise?
Totally. I think we're twins. We're twinning, brother.
Nice.
I've been looking for you, man.
Thank you, JW. Yes, I knew it. I knew I liked this guy, man.
Damn, bro.
True.
Yeah, I mean, the dungeon was. So for people who don't know, I guess we should tell them what the dungeon is, right?
No,
the dungeon
absolutely.
is. Right. It was in Sunset Park. The park itself. There was a tremendous. I mean, just a gigantic pool. That was a public pool, open to the entire neighborhood, and people from all over would come to that pool. And right before you went through the main gates of the pool, there were these gym areas. One was converted into a boxing training gym, and then the other side had a basketball, full court basketball gym inside of it. And so that gym was referred to, affectionately as the dungeon. And that's where everybody who had any sort of basketball game would go, and, you would play as if though it was like, the Final Four. You didn't want to get off that court. You did not want to lose.
Do you remember that waiting list? That waiting list was like about 100 names. So if you lost, you knew you were going home and you were done.
Going home.
Yeah, so
you would pray that the next guy who had next didn't have his 5, and you're like, yo, man, you got your 5?
If not, it was ready to go home and sit on a stoop if it was summertime.
Summertime you go inside. Over the summer, you ball outside, but this is for the winter where you didn't have any really activities going on. So
This is true. This is true. And
it built a
I
lot of
remember
character.
Lou you always had that jump shot, man. You always had that
man.
jump shot. That was,
But you
yeah.
were a speed demon, and you just didn't stop. Tremendous defender, and you just had this amount of energy. And I'm like, damn, where the hell this guy gets all this energy from? And
I wish I knew where it went, man, because, I'm a dad and I'm a husband, and that my wife just gives me a look sometimes. She's like, let me guess, you're tired, right? I'm like, how did you know?
only they knew, right?
Right.
So let me tell you, so JW, so what happened after high school? It was like, I saw you, I guess, briefly, late 80s, early 90s. And then after that, I kind of I didn't see you anymore. And naturally, I just assumed you moved out the neighborhood. So what happened after high school? You went into the service or?
Yeah, so I fell in love with the arts in high school. Really, I really enjoyed it. I went to Lafayette High School in Bensonhurst. And I did play some basketball there, but I was also, discovering that I could sing a little bit. And I joined a choir, and it wasn't a chorus, it was a choir. And it was predominantly a black choir. So, you just can't help but be affected, whether, in your soul or through your vocal training, to start feeling like, something starts working inside of you. So that's kind of what happened. And that's where I fell in love. And I met these other guys. And this was like 1991, 92, 93. And we formed an R&B group, and we thought we were going to be the next Boys to Men, Jodeci. And, we would jump on the B train, and I would head back towards Sunset. They'd head back to Flatbush, Bed-Stuy. And on the entire train ride, we would perform for whoever was in the train car. I think about it now, we were very bold, Wow. Yeah. And, I knew we had something because everybody in the train car would stop, they would listen, and then they would break out into a huge applause. And we would do all the Boyz II Men songs and Shy and all these other things. And unfortunately, when that train did pull into Sunset, like I said, my block was pretty hot. My older brother, who I idolized at the time, had a huge influence on me. My older brother came home from serving a lot of time in prison. He came home as a Latin king and was really pitching that in my ear about this nation of kings, and he painted a picture. And so I thought that's what I was gonna wind up doing. And at the strong urgency of my mother and father, they said, that's a gang. I don't care how you paint it, that's a gang, and you're not gonna do that. So they stood on top of me. They really kept me away. And I knew that I wasn't going to do well in college. I wanted to pursue the arts, but didn't really know how. So I did the next best thing, man. I got the hell out of Sunset Park. I joined the Marine Corps. And lo and behold, a few months after I joined, I got a letter from my girlfriend at the time. She had she cut out the front page. I think it was the Daily News or the New York Post. And it showed a daisy chain of Latin kings, and my brother was part of that daisy chain, and the FBI had arrested a lot of them. So I always remember that moment as an aha moment for me, and saying, wow, I think I made the right decision here. And that's why you didn't see me. And what I thought would be a quick little thing in and out of the service, because I didn't think that I would like being yelled at and being told what to do, I actually took a lot of this, Sunset Park toughness that we're all ingrained with. And I did very well in the Marine Corps, and I actually loved it a lot. So I wound up spending a lot more time than I thought I initially would. That's why you didn't see me.
Good for you, and thank you for your service. Really
exactly. Thank you for serving. Believe me, I've thought about it, but I don't think I'll pass basic training.
They have a weight restriction.
It's not that you wouldn't make it through basic. It's just that those guys probably wouldn't stop liking you, man. The drills are really nice. They're like, why do we yell? Guys, no one yelling. Look at you.
Right there. Come on.
What's not to love? were afraid, man. You were gonna expose
Oh my
them.
God.
Yeah.
No, but on a serious note, thank you for serving this country. I think people don't. I think people take that for granted, and it's a huge step, huge commitment, and it needs to be recognized and applauded. You know, I went to. It's funny because I never saw the appreciation until I went to San Antonio to visit one of my daughters, and we went to SeaWorld. And before the show, there were two servicemen, you know, I think they were Army or Navy, and they stopped, and everybody got up and started clapping like they, you know, it was Texas is big on the people that serve.
Yeah.
And it was, and that brought me like, wow, you know, we don't give these people, like we take them for granted. They're out there putting their lives. It might not be wartime, but it's always wartime. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
So on a serious note, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah. You know, I think that's why I'm so committed to some of these efforts. You know, I've used acting to get me into rooms, into hospitals, into wards, like, you know, Walter Reed, Bethesda. I visit away from all the cameras, and nobody really ever knows when I show up down there. But, you know, because of acting, they get excited, right? They get excited that I'm showing up. But I get more out of it than they do, you know, because I know what it's like. I'm not just an actor. I'm not someone who's just, you know, coming from left field. I know what it's like to be 18 years old and to be told to fill out a last will and, you know, testament and powers of attorney. What do you have when you're 18 years old? I know what I had. I had a couple of hip hop CDs and R&B CDs, you know. Maybe I got on Gumbo CD, a couple of jeans, you know, and that was it, you know. And I'm like, you know,
the Gran
in my
Combo's
letter,
worth a lot.
Mom, Dad,
Gran
don't fight
Combo's
for
worth
it.
a lot.
Huh?
The Gran Combo's worth a lot.
It's worth a lot, you know. So, yeah, it's important, man. It's important that we take, you know, a minute out of our day just to, whenever we see someone, just say thank you, because what the service members essentially doing is they're signing a blank check. And they're telling the government, cash it whenever you want, any amount, including up to my life, whatever it takes, you know? And so, you know, I had to stick around the Marine Corps for a long time before I saw any, you know, combat, right? It was almost 10 years when I finally was able to, you know, deploy overseas. And that's another experience altogether. But, you know, 18, 19-year-old kids out there, I don't know about you, but when 18, 19, what do you really know? You know?
Yeah, you don't know much.
You're not ready. Definitely not ready.
You're just starting life. So,
Yes.
so JW, so that you go through this military experience and you come back, and it's like you just jump right back into action. You join the police force, right? And
So I came home towards the end of 2003 after I was part of the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And it was I'll tell you a quick story. When I was there, it's different now, but when I was deployed, you spent a few hours up to 24 hours in Kuwait, which is just south of Iraq. And you're there, you know, as a staging thing, and then boom, we were going. So this was the invasion. So the guys now spend months in Kuwait getting used to the heat, because you're talking about 130, 140 degrees, right? The summer's 130, 100. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I spent about 20 some odd hours in Kuwait, and the very next morning, in the middle of the night, we were invading Iraq. But when we had just landed in Kuwait, I was a platoon sergeant, so my platoon was looking to me to tell them where we're going to go, set up, whatever the case is. What's the word? What's the plan of attack here? I didn't have any, so I'm looking around trying to get some information from my higher-ups, when all of a sudden you hear these air sirens, really loud. They're coming in every single direction. I didn't know what it was. My Marines are looking at me like, what do you got? And I'm like, stand by, hold on. And I see that other guys who had been there a few hours before us, they're running in one direction. So one in Rome, who as the Romans. So, so we start running in their direction, and I'm noticing that they're also taking out. We carried around our waist a gas mask holder. So they're ripping open their holder, they're donning and clearing their gas mask, and they're going into this thing. So we follow suit, and where we go to, literally, this is no exaggeration. If you could imagine a huge bulldozer on Coney Island pushing walls of sand, maybe about 8 or 10 bus lengths long. In the middle of that, there's a small opening, and on the other end of that, other side of it, there's another 8, 10 bus length, long sand of wall. That was our bunker.
Wow.
From these, right? So we're there, we're laying flat on the ground, looking up to the sky with our gas masks on. It's hot. My face is my mask is filling up with sweat. I hear guys praying, because the air sirens are Scud missiles that were being thrown from Saddam Hussein in Iraq into Kuwait to try and stop us from even getting into Iraq. And that repeated itself over and over and over. And each impact of those missiles, the grains of sand started to first shake, then they started to come off the ground from each impact. That's how close they were hitting. It was in those moments, number one, you feel everything from fear to frustration to real anger. And again, my Marines are to the left and right of me. Some are vomiting in their mask. Some are praying. Some people, are just quiet. I'm having a moment where I'm seeing like images in my mind, like a movie. Wow. Of everything that I had ever wanted to do and try and never did. And I thought about my mom and dad. I thought about Sunset Park. I thought about everything within flashes, within seconds. And one of those things was this kid who really loved to act and sing, but was too chicken shit to pursue it. And so it was at that moment that I decided, if I make it the fuck out of here. Now, mind you, this is just my first few hours in country. I still have a whole 6 months in Iraq to get through. But I said at that moment that if I make it through, I'm going to pursue my dreams. I'm never going to feel this way again. Fuck this. This is horrible. And so that's a long intro to my answer to the question you asked. But essentially, when I came back from Iraq, I had to battle another demon, and that was post-traumatic stress. So post-traumatic stress took a really strong hold on me. I met a young lady who I wound up marrying, and the police department did call about, 3 months later. I became a cop. And a few months after that, I had another moment where I remembered that night in Kuwait, and I made a promise, and I turned to my brand new wife who was pregnant with my son, my first son. I said, I think I want to be an actor.
Take it. She said, what?
You was like, what?
We need your pension. We need your pension.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's better to be shot with blanks than with shooting with real bullets. You understand what I'm saying? Right? NYPD, ain't nothing fake about that.
No, JW, I gotta applaud you on that though. That you talk about putting things into perspective. That moment of clarity to understand is like, this is my life. You only have one goal at this, and not to really to maximize on what you wanted to do in life. It's okay to fail, but you have to attempt it. If you don't attempt it, you always have that doubt, and it's like, wow, what could have happened if I pursued it? And Chris, I don't want to go past his story without saying that he earned the Combat Action Ribbon and the Navy Marines Award. We're looking at a decorated military man here, and kudos to you, brother.
Thank you.
So, man, that story gave me chills, Jay.
How come when I tell you my stories, you don't tell me you got chills? I told you I had a Purple Heart, never left the city.
Oh my God. That was a Kool-Aid Purple Heart. So,
Oh, yeah.
so I did some research on you, and I heard early on how you were talking about how it's really difficult to try to audition for these roles because you really didn't have a lot of background in acting, but you kind of filled in the gaps as you was going on. You want to tell us any funny stories? First time out at auditions,
Yeah.
that were left.
Yeah. So again, I told my wife that I want to be an actor, right? And so she was like, okay, what now? Right?
Good woman.
So I was working on the police department job, and where I worked at, there was a newsstand. So I bought this newspaper that somebody told me I should check it out. It's called Backstage. And
Yeah.
Backstage was where all the actors had listings for gigs and stuff and advice. And so I bought this thing, and in the back of it, the Help Wanted, they were casting all these movies and stuff, and there was a lot of scams in there too.
Uh-huh.
I made a lot of mistakes. I should say that right now, Chris and Lou, in the beginning of my career. I didn't do any porn or nothing like that.
It's funny you say porn. It's funny you say porn because you said backstage. I'm thinking backstage.
Back, You want me to do what? Yeah. So I bought this thing, and I circled it, and it had an address, and I showed up, and I'm there, and I'm just like a fish out of water. I've never done this before. There's a thing where you sign in your name, in order. So I sign in my name because that's what everybody else is doing. And I'm waiting, and they give everybody like a piece of paper with some they call them sides. It's like a page of the script. And so I'm auditioning for some character, whatever. And the lady comes out and she says, "Okay, who's next? JW?" And I'm like, "Right here. How are you?" It's like, "Okay, headshot." And so I legit had a moment where I looked at her, I said, "You want me to show you how to do a headshot?" Because as the Marine, a headshot. She looked at me.
Scared the hell out of her.
Yeah, she looked at me. She goes, "Oh, I wish I knew who she was." But she was like, "Oh, sweetie, you don't know what that is, right?" I go, "I don't think we're talking about the same thing. What is that?" She's like, your picture." I'm like, "Okay, where do I go to get that?" She's like, "Oh, you don't. You have to go and meet a photographer." It's like a whole process.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was doing, man, and I wound up not auditioning because I didn't have anything that they needed. I didn't even know. So I did a lot of really bad short films with student directors, directors who, or students who want to be directors, and a lot of low budget stuff in the beginning. I didn't really care though, because I was fulfilling my promise.
Exactly.
I was having fun. I didn't, you could have told me, I'm like, "Oh shit, all right, this is amazing." And, but after a while, I'm seeing these other actors, and I'm like, I want to do that.
Absolutely.
How do I get those? I want to get those big parts. How do I do that? And so, you talk to Papo. "Mira, Papa, what you do is this, bro. Mira, yo conozco un tipo, bro. I know this guy.
You don't gotta wait online. You go straight to the front.
Papa, right to the top, bro. Mira, fucking Spielberg."
Oh man. So
Man, yeah.
Actually, I saw him first in Gotham. I saw him because I saw him in Gotham, and then because I'm a fan. I was a fan of Gotham, and then I saw him, I think, in Power, and I'm like, and when Lou told me you were from Sunset, I'm like, "Oh shit, I seen this guy all the time, man." It's like I grew up with him.
That's right.
funny story.
Right.
So I'm watching Power with my wife, right? And I'm watching Power with my wife, and it's that scene with you and Tommy in the car. And before that, Tommy's like, "Yo, you guys don't talk English," and then you go, "Yeah, I talk English."
I spoke English.
Off. I'm telling my wife, I said, "Hey, I know that guy." She goes, "Yeah, you're full of shit. Go get me something." I know that guy. know that guy. But
hey, Lou, now you have proof. Now you have proof.
She still doesn't believe it.
That's right.
55.
So
I love those stories.
so JW, what was your first big gig, and how did it come about? Like, was it a reference, or somebody saw your work, or how does that play out?
I think like every other actor, I thought I had it all figured out. I didn't need to go any school. I'm like a natural talent, right? Whatever. But at some point, that's not going to work. It's not, this thing is really, you're playing the long game if you want to be an actor, right? You want to play the long game. It's almost like somebody saying to you, look, I'm not going to work ever because I know I'm going to hit the lottery. You're going to think they're crazy, because some people do. But the probabilities are against you. And so people who make it overnight in acting, those that do, it's like hitting the lotto. But where are they now? Usually, the industry exposes you as not being very talented. So I wound up applying some of this mindset that I had with the Marines about working hard, having discipline. You're never out of the fight. There's always a way to win. And I said, okay, if I apply that mentality to acting, what do I got to do? Well, I got to get training. I got to get some real fucking serious training. I got to know where my favorite actors trained at. So I did that. I went on the internet. I did a couple, Google searches of my actors. And I saw that there was a school that popped up. It was called William Esper Studios in Midtown on West 38th Street. At the time, I was working as a cop in Grand Central Terminal. And when I went to this school, it was life-changing. It wasn't life-changing because I was learning how to act. It was life-changing because I was dealing with someone that I hadn't dealt with in a long time. That was myself.
Okay.
That was myself, right? So I literally was working full-time as a cop and being a dad and a husband, and I would take off my uniform, throw it in my locker, and I would run across town because I worked on 42nd and Park Avenue. I had to get to 38th between 7th and 8th Avenue, go across town because I had to be there at exactly 7:30, or my teacher would just tell us, you can go home, you can play that part, go home.
Wow.
It was very, very tough, and it was life-changing. So when I started to act, to train as an actor, things started to happen for me. I had worked, little 1-line, 2-liners, under fives. They call them under fives because you have under 5 lines, on little shows here and there, a couple of independent movies here and there, but not the really meaty stuff that I wanted. And so when I started training, things started to happen. I got out of my own way, right? And I said, oh, shit, okay, all right, this is what the craft is, And my teacher said something that I'm going to say something right now, so maybe one of your listeners who are thinking about doing it will see it from this perspective. We see these ballerinas at the Met. We hear these alto sopranos sing opera, these tenors. We see Floyd Mayweather doing his thing, right? Slipping punches left and right. Sculptors, you name it. People who have to spend years before they can make it look easy. We assume it takes a lot of hard work, and we assume I dig it, but I can maybe try it, but I won't be as good as him or her because I haven't spent the time in it. Acting is the one thing that everybody who watches it at some point, mostly everybody says, I can fucking do that. Right? But I would argue and say that of all of painting, sculpting, dancing, you name it, the hardest is acting truthfully under imaginary circumstances. Taking words off a piece of paper and putting out a performance like Denzel did in Training Day is masterful craftsmanship. And that takes years to get there.
To make it believable. To make it, and you know what? You mentioned Denzel. He's one of my top 3 favorite actors, but because he makes you believe that his role.
He believes.
Exactly. So I understand exactly what you're saying. He makes you believe. Like in Training Day, I'm looking at this motherfucker. This dude is real. He's a ruthless, corrupt cop, and I'm believing it. Same thing in John Q. You know, a worried father. That movie killed me. Like
when the little boy says, "You're my hero,"
I got choked up. JW.
I was like, is this Dustin here, God?
The pot. I said, yo, the pollen is high. The pollen is high.
My wife is like this. You're not crying, are you?
He went like this and he went like that, and I'm like, wow, that's towards the end of the movie. Destroyed me. But that's what I'm saying. So I understand what you're saying. And remember, it's easy to see, oh wow, Denzel makes it look easy, but we don't know the time and hours and that he put in. You know, the classes that he had to take, you know. It's just, you know, it's very easy to watch the final product and say, oh, yeah, like you said, I could do that.
Hey, Chris.
Right.
Hey, Chris, I'm sorry.
No, I can do that shit.
I know Papo. He put me on.
Hey, JW, we're against a hard out here in 4 minutes, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to, you know, plug anything you have work going on, any future projects or current projects that you're working on that you want to let the people know about before we cut off.
You know, coronavirus has shut down the entire industry, so right now there's nothing really going on. I'm back in acting.
So you're back on with us next week?
I'm back on with you guys. That's
Yes!
it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, bro. So as far as acting goes, right now there's a couple of things. I was about to start a movie this year, which has now been put on hold probably until next year. It's called The Patrolman. I play a guy named John Morales. Very excited about that movie. I'm the lead in that feature film.
Oh, nice.
And we had strong interest from Sony and a stellar cast, man. John Ortiz, Isa Morales, Rosario Dawson was possibly in line to play my wife. So I was getting ready and eating, you know, cabbage and drinking water. Para ponerme más lindo, right?
I was about to say, I hope you're alone there, but when you get to kiss Rosario, just, you know, give her a little, you know, just let her know you from Sunset.
I'm like,
from Sunset.
This is for Chris.
Yes.
Right. Hey, Jay, that's when you got to pull out. Retake. We got to do this over again.
Right. I can't work like this.
I didn't find. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. We got to do it again.
My wife would be like this. Espera que te coja.
You didn't feel it?
Right.
Hey,
Yes,
J-Dub, man, it's been an absolute delight to catch up with you, brother. I can't commend and applaud you for the humbleness and, you know, just your path, the road you traveled to where you're at now, and I'm so happy that a guy that I knew that grew up in our neighborhood is doing so well and still makes himself available to people in the neighborhood. Brother, I wish you nothing but the best. Anytime you have something you want to plug, please send it to me. I'll be more than happy to promote it, and I wish you continued success, brother. Take care.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Always have my number. Use it.
Definitely.
God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Also, thank you for not putting a restraining order on Lewis for stalking you, man.
I'm sorry I blocked you. But I didn't.
Hey,
God bless and much success, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Abrazos, bro. Take care.